You know that awful feeling like holding your breath when you hear some critical medical machine has just gone down.
Really?
Schedules just fall apart, patient care gets pushed back, and the costs just start climbing.
Absolutely. It's a huge headache.
Well, today we're diving into what looks like a really powerful solution. Intelligent diagnostics for medical equipment, and it's all driven by something called agentic AI.
Exactly. We're really talking about a fundamental shift here, in how we look after these essential, often incredibly complex medical devices.
Right.
Our main source for this deep dive is a pretty recent article by Dr. Jagreet Kaur. It's called AI Agents in Healthcare, Redefining Diagnostics for Medical Equipment. It gives a great overview.
Sounds fascinating. So our mission today really is to get a handle on how these AI agents are changing the game for managing healthcare equipment, moving it from like just fixing stuff when it breaks
The reactive approach.
to being much more proactive, maybe even predictive. We want to see how this actually impacts hospitals, clinics, day to day, and uh, ultimately how it helps patients and makes things run smoother.
Makes sense.
So let's jump in. What exactly is intelligent medical diagnostics?
Okay, so basically, intelligent medical diagnostics is a way of constantly keeping an eye on medical equipment, monitoring it, analyzing how it's performing, making sure it's all working like it should.
Constantly, you said. That sounds key.
That's the crucial part, yeah. It's not just, checking it every few months. It's like a constant digital watch over the machine's health.
Mm.
And because it's always watching, we can move from just fixing failures after they happen
Right.
to actually predicting them, maybe even stopping them before they start.
Okay, so it's less like waiting for a red light to flash
Right.
and more like having, I don't know, a whole team of experts just watching all the data pour out of the machine in real time.
Precisely, yeah. And taking that proactive approach gives you some really big wins. First
Mhm.
off, there's early problem detection. Because you've got that constant surveillance, even tiny little anomalies, things a person might miss, they get picked up. And you can sort them out before they turn into big disruptive failures.
Right, nip it in the bud.
Exactly. Then you get maintenance prediction. The system looks at how the machine's being used, its current condition, and it can actually forecast, okay, this part is likely going to need maintenance around this time.
Ah, so you can schedule it properly.
Yeah, schedule it in, minimize that downtime. Then there's just real-time monitoring, knowing exactly how the equipment is doing right now.
Instant status updates.
And remote troubleshooting becomes a real possibility. Technicians can often diagnose and sometimes even fix issues from miles away. Saves a ton of time, saves resources,
Huge for remote clinics, I bet.
definitely. And finally, it helps with optimized performance. Understanding exactly how the gear is being used, spotting inefficiencies,
Wow.
it helps make sure the devices are running at their absolute best.
Okay, give me an example. Like, how would that work?
Well, imagine, say, a ventilator. The system detects a really subtle shift in pressure delivery, something maybe not critical yet. It flags it, maybe an adjustment is made remotely, and you've potentially avoided a bigger issue for a patient down the line. That's the kind of thing.
Wow, okay. That move from reacting to predicting, it does sound, well, revolutionary. But to really get how big a leap this is, what was the old way? How did we used to manage all this equipment?
Yeah, the traditional way was definitely more old school. It was heavily based on routine inspections.
Like calendar reminders.
Pretty much. Scheduled at fixed times, like every 6 months, whether the machine needed it or not, based on time, not really on its actual condition.
Okay, so you could be checking a perfectly fine machine
Yeah.
or miss something that pops up right after an inspection.
Exactly. Or missing issues that developed between those checks. And then, of course, there was reactive maintenance.
A fix it when it's broke approach.
Right. Which, as we said, just means you get those sudden, really disruptive downtimes. Plus, the old methods usually involved pretty limited monitoring.
So you weren't really tracking performance day to day.
Not continuously, no. So small dips in performance or problems slowly getting worse, they could easily fly under the radar until, bang, major failure.
And I imagine keeping track of it all was tricky too, like the record keeping.
Oh, definitely. Inconsistent record keeping was a big one. Often just, manual logs, maybe paper files, made it really hard to see the history of a device clearly, spot patterns over time.
Yeah, hard to connect the dots if the data's all over the place or missing.
Exactly. Made it super tough to identify long-term trends or predict future issues or even figure out why the same problem kept happening. And finally, the old way usually meant on-site repairs.
Right. Got to get the specialist out there.
Yep. Fly someone in or drive them out. which could mean big delays, higher costs, especially if the hospital or clinic was out in the sticks.
So, okay, let's talk consequences. What did all that mean for the actual people involved? The patients, the doctors, the nurses. Sounds like it could cause a whole bunch of problems.
Oh, it absolutely did. For patients, the biggest thing was often delays in treatment. That urgent MRI scan gets canceled because the machine's down. A few hours delay might not sound like much, but
It
sometimes
can be critical.
it can be critical. It could mean longer hospital stays, maybe even worse outcomes. And then there's the cost factor, higher healthcare costs, all those inefficiencies, the emergency repairs, they add up.
And those costs get passed on somehow, right?
Often, yeah. It puts pressure on the whole system.
And it wasn't just about time and money, was it?
Yeah.
Did it affect the actual quality of the care?
For sure. Inconsistent care quality is a real worry. If a machine isn't working perfectly because of, say, iffy maintenance, you could get inaccurate test results.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, or delayed diagnoses, maybe even the wrong treatment plan. That directly hits patient well-being and erodes trust. And lastly, think about resource misallocation.
What do you mean?
Well, when nurses and techs are constantly firefighting unexpected breakdowns, pulling machines out of service, rescheduling.
Their time's not spent on patients.
Exactly. It's diverted from direct patient care, adds stress, lowers morale, and potentially impacts the overall standard of care. That delayed scan scenario we talked about, that really hits home how these old limits affect real people.
Yeah, paints a pretty clear picture of why we needed something better. So let's get into the solution. How does agentic AI actually, tackle these problems? What is agentic AI in this context?
Right. So think of agentic AI not as one single thing, but like a team of smart, autonomous software programs, agents working together.
Okay, like a digital crew.
Kind of, yeah. They collaborate to manage and optimize the medical equipment. And they're not just passive analysts. They can make decisions, trigger actions, learn, adapt. Dr. Carr's article mentions a framework called Acura AI, multi-agents in action. It's a good way to picture how they cooperate.
Akira AI. Okay, sounds organized.
Yeah.
What are the different roles on this team?
Well, first up, you've got the knowledge orchestrator. Think of this as the central brain, the information hub.
Okay.
It uses a large language model, an LLM, and something called a knowledge graph. This combo lets it understand questions from technicians really well.
Like natural language questions.
Yeah, exactly. And it can instantly pull up the right answer from manuals, repair histories, real-time data, you name it. Super fast, super accurate info.
Okay, so no more digging through PDF manuals for hours. A tech asks a specific question, gets a solid answer right away. That's huge for fixing things quickly.
Massive efficiency gain, cuts down diagnostic time, gets machines back online faster, minimizes that downtime.
Makes sense. Who's next on the Akira AI team?
Next are the predictive maintenance agents. These are the ones constantly watching, the proactive guards.
The crystal ball agents.
Sort of. They're analyzing all that real-time data streaming from the devices, looking for those tiny patterns, the subtle signs that might mean trouble's brewing. It's not just saying it might break, it's using data to predict when and why. This can save hospitals, potentially hundreds of thousands a year by avoiding those unplanned downtimes, those emergency repair calls.
Right.
Imagine sensors pick up a tiny rise in temperature in some component. The agent flags it, maintenance gets scheduled before it fries itself. That's the idea.
Like an early warning system that sees trouble way before we do? Very cool. What other agents are involved?
Then there's the AI co-pilot agent. This one's like a virtual expert sitting on the technician's shoulder.
Okay.
So when there is an issue, the co-pilot can give step-by-step troubleshooting help, tailored to that specific machine, that specific problem. It draws on tons of past repair cases, device data, suggests the best fix.
So it helps the tech solve it faster, more confidently.
Exactly. Makes them quicker, more sure-footed, and it might mean you don't need to wait for the super specialized expert to fly in. It's like having a senior tech's brain instantly available.
Like a virtual mentor right there with you. I can see how that'd be valuable, especially if the top expert isn't around.
Definitely. Then you've got compliance monitoring agents. These guys are crucial because healthcare is just, wrapped in regulation.
Oh yeah, red tape everywhere.
Right. So these agents constantly check the device's performance, its operational data, against all the relevant rules, safety standards, manufacturer guidelines.
And if something's off.
It flags it immediately,
Mm-hmm.
suggests how to fix it, helps the hospital stay certified, avoid fines. It automates a lot of that compliance headache.
Automating compliance checks. That sounds like a massive weight off administrators' shoulders. Reduces risk too.
Big time. And the last piece of the Akira puzzle, the reporting and training agents.
Okay, what do they do?
They gather up all the data, performance stats, maintenance records, compliance info, and crunch it into reports for management.
Giving the big picture view.
Yeah, insights into how equipment's being used, maintenance trends, where things could be optimized. But they also use that data to design training for the technicians.
Personalized training.
Exactly. Based on performance, based on needs, keeps everyone up to date on best practices, new tech, specific repair tricks. It's about continuous improvement, using data to get better.
So it's not just fixing, it's learning and improving the whole system.
Precisely. You see how they all link together, they feed information to each other, creating this whole system that doesn't just spot problems, but gives you the knowledge, the tools to stop them messing up patient care.
Yeah, it sounds incredibly integrated, really proactive.
Mm.
Okay, so what tech actually makes all this agentic AI stuff possible in the real world? What's under the hood?
Right. There are several key pieces of technology making this happen. First, and maybe the most fundamental, are IoT-enabled sensors.
The Internet of Things stuff.
Exactly. Tiny sensors embedded in the medical equipment. They're constantly monitoring everything: temperature, vibration, pressure, usage patterns, and sending that data out in real time.
So that's where all the raw data comes from.
That's the fire hose of data, yeah. It's the lifeblood for the whole intelligent system. Enables that early detection, the remote diagnosis.
Gotcha. So tiny temperature changes, subtle vibrations, how often it's used, all tracked constantly. What digests all that data?
Well, that brings us straight to the AI agents and machine learning algorithms. These are the brains of the operation, really. They take those massive streams of sensor data and analyze them. They're looking for the patterns, predicting potential failures with, increasing accuracy, and recommending the best maintenance steps. This is where raw data becomes actual intelligence you can use.
Turning the noise into a signal, basically. Making sense of it all to make smart decisions. Now, I keep hearing about digital twins everywhere. How do they fit in here?
Digital twins. Yeah, they're becoming really important. Think of a digital twin as a living virtual copy of the physical machine.
Like a simulation.
Exactly, but a simulation that's constantly updated with the real-time data from those IoT sensors on the actual machine.
Okay, so it mirrors the real thing. What's the point?
Well, you can use this virtual twin to run tests, simulate different scenarios, try out repairs, troubleshoot potential problems, all without touching the real machine.
Like a virtual test bed.
Precisely. You can ask, what if?
Right.
What if we change the setting? What if this part starts to degrade? You can predict the outcome virtually before you do anything in the real world. Incredibly useful.
Yeah. Sounds super powerful for testing fixes or optimizing things without any risks to the actual equipment.
Right.
But wow, all these sensors, all these systems, the amount of data must be just staggering.
Well, it's enormous. Absolutely. And that's where big data analytics comes in. You need powerful tools specifically built to handle and analyze these massive data sets, both the historical logs and the real-time streams.
Right.
These tools sift through it all, find those hidden long-term trends, maybe spot correlations you wouldn't normally see, and help make better decisions about maintenance, resource use, the whole operation.
So it's not just about having the data, it's having the muscle to actually analyze it properly at scale. Okay. One more technology. Augmented reality. I see that popping up everywhere too. How's AR used here?
Yeah, augmented reality, or AR, it's about overlaying digital information onto your view of the real world.
Like those smart glasses.
Exactly. So imagine a technician working on a complex MRI machine. They put on AR glasses, and they might see step-by-step repair instructions floating right over the machine. Or maybe specific components are highlighted. Or real-time data from the sensors is displayed right there. It can guide them through the process visually.
So it shows them exactly what to do, where to look.
Right. Can cut down on mistakes, speed things up, make the whole maintenance job way more efficient, like having an expert virtually pointing things out.
That's pretty cool. It's amazing how all these different technologies are coming together.
Yeah.
Now, this all sounds great in theory, but is it actually happening? Are there real hospitals, real companies using this agentic AI stuff successfully right now?
Oh, definitely. It's not just theory anymore. Dr. Carr's article mentions some really good examples, like GE Healthcare. They're doing predictive maintenance for their MRI machines.
Okay, oh.
They're tracking, get this, over 500 different parameters on their MRIs out in the field, using complex analytics to spot signs of potential hardware failures before they happen.
500, wow.
Yeah, so they can alert the hospital, schedule maintenance proactively. It means less surprise downtime for those crucial scanners. The scale of monitoring there really shows you the power.
Yeah, 500 data points per machine. You just couldn't do that manually. What's another real-world case?
Philips has their smart cardiac CT scanners. These aren't just about great images, they have intelligent features built in to make complex heart scans easier to perform.
Making it simpler for the staff.
Exactly. Improves access, helps ensure consistent, accurate diagnoses for heart patients, so it's AI helping both the operators and the patients.
And that digital twin tech we talked about, is anyone actually using that in hospitals?
Yes, Siemens Healthineers is a big player there. They use digital twins to create virtual models of equipment like CT scanners.
And their virtual test beds again.
Right. They can simulate how the scanners behave in real time, test software updates virtually, spot potential issues, all without taking the actual scanner offline. Super valuable for keeping those critical tools reliable.
Makes sense. Testing in the virtual world first. What about devices inside patients, like pacemakers?
Good question. Boston Scientific is doing a lot with remote monitoring for implantable devices, pacemakers, defibrillators, things like that.
How does that work?
The systems constantly watch how the device is functioning, track the patient's relevant health data, and send it back. If there's any issue, it can be detected super early.
So doctors can intervene faster.
Exactly. Allows for timely adjustments, maybe even prevents a serious medical event. It's a really direct impact on patient safety and well-being.
That is powerful. Any other big examples?
Yeah, Medtronic has connected surgical systems. They've built connectivity and intelligence into surgical tools and equipment.
For the operating room.
Yep. Allows for remote troubleshooting if something glitches, monitoring performance, even predicting maintenance needs for that specialized surgical gear.
Right.
In surgery, equipment reliability is absolutely critical.
No kidding. You can't have delays there.
Exactly. So these connected systems help ensure everything is ready and working perfectly when needed.
These examples really drive home how much this AI stuff is changing things already. So, looking forward now, what's next? What are the big trends? How will these AI agents keep getting better, maybe even leave other tech behind?
Well, the future looks pretty exciting, honestly. One major trend is going to be holistic data integration, meaning systems that pull together data from even more sources. Not just the machine sensors, but maybe linking in the patient's electronic health record, detailed maintenance logs, even things like room temperature or humidity.
Ah, getting the full context.
Exactly. Breaking down those data silos, having all that integrated gives you a much richer, more complete picture. Allows for even smarter predictions, better decisions.
The unified view of everything.
Okay, what else?
We'll see real-time predictive maintenance get even sharper, even more, well, proactive. It won't just be predicting a failure next week. It might detect a tiny anomaly right now and trigger an immediate, maybe even automated preventative action, moving beyond prediction to actual preemption.
That's the goal, yeah. Getting ahead of problems almost instantly.
And the systems themselves will keep learning.
Oh, absolutely. Adaptive learning for devices is key. These AI systems won't be static. They'll constantly learn from new data, from how technicians interact with them, from the outcomes of maintenance.
So they get smarter over time.
Exactly. They'll continuously refine their algorithms, improve their accuracy. Unlike old systems that just stayed the same, these will evolve and adapt as the equipment itself changes.
A constant improvement cycle. Makes sense for fast-moving tech. What about the compliance side of things?
Expect proactive compliance management to become much more automated. The AI will track regulatory changes almost in real time, automatically update compliance checks, flag any potential issues across the hospital's entire fleet of devices.
Taking even more of that admin burden away.
Right, less paperwork, less risk, more consistency.
That sounds like music to a hospital administrator's ears.
Yeah.
And finally, what about the people using these tools, the technicians?
We're going to see even more advanced technician support tools.
Yeah.
Think tighter integration with the AI diagnostics, better AR guides, more interactive troubleshooting, instant access to expert knowledge bases, all tailored to the specific problem at hand.
Making their jobs easier and more effective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Giving them the right info, the right guidance, right when they need it. Making diagnostics faster, more accurate, maybe less dependent on having decades of experience.
It really paints a picture of the future, doesn't it? Medical equipment management becoming way more intelligent, way more proactive, and ultimately just better for everyone involved.
Absolutely. That's the bottom line. This integration of AI agents, it's a fundamental shift. We're moving away from just reacting to problems towards predicting and preventing them. And that means more reliable equipment, fewer disruptions, and most importantly, better, safer care for patients.
So yeah, it's not just about fancy tech-fixing machines. It really is about building healthcare systems that are smarter, more connected, and ultimately more focused on the patient. That feels like the core takeaway here.
I think so too. And, as you've been listening to our deep dive today, maybe think about this. How else will this growing wave of AI in healthcare change things? It's transforming diagnostics, sure, but what about treatments? What about the whole patient experience from start to finish? Where else do you see these kinds of intelligent systems making a difference in the coming years? It's definitely something to keep an eye on.